Hi, this is Called to Learn with Trust and Neil, and I've got Heidi Weyland here with me, who has been a long-time homeschooler, and she's going to tell us her story. So how did you get started in homeschooling?
Well, it actually goes back to my childhood. There was a time where I was raised as a child in a family of 10. I was the fifth of 10 children, 6 girls and 4 boys.
Wow.
And we were raised on a farm in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that I was about 12 years old, Mount St. Helens blew.
Oh, wow.
And it destroyed our farm.
Oh.
And Dad had to sell everything. And he did trucking for a little while until he was able to use his chemistry degree that he had earned at BYU.
Okay.
So he actually went back to night school. But in the interim, between him losing the farm and getting that better career, my sister and I were helping or created a house cleaning business as teenagers to help fund
the family
and support our family, right? Our needs as a family. And, the small part that we could. And so we did that. And our mom started homeschooling us so that we could do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she had bought some books about homeschooling from some of the pioneers. I don't remember their names. But when
Maybe the Moores?
I think it was,
yes. Yeah, because that seems like one of the first ones.
Yeah. And so when I had my first child, I really prayed about it. And I felt inspired that I needed to homeschool him.
Wow.
So I read those books that my mom had.
Cool.
And was inspired with this mission and call to teach, my children. So I studied and I went to a lot of seminars and I learned and, as most mothers in homeschooling, we go from one curriculum to the next as we feel led and guided. And sometimes it's a modge podge of different curriculums, right?
Yeah.
And different learning styles and different
and each child is different.
Exactly, yeah. So, as my oldest one reached kindergarten age and beyond, and then we had, subsequent children, I just continued to add them to my teaching, right? And it's the thing that I love about homeschooling is you can just do it all together, no matter the ages, you know? And I loved curriculum that I could apply to all ages so we could all be together in our learning and just assignments, that would be given at different levels. So maybe for the high school student, it was write a paper on this topic, or maybe for the, kindergarten child, it was draw a picture of what you learned, or, there's just different levels of learning that we used.
But you were the primary teacher, though, in your school.
Okay. Yeah, for years, until my oldest son reached high school age.
Okay.
And then we were able to put him into Leahone Academy, him and our daughter, who was our second child.
Okay.
And then when our third child reached high school age, we had a neighbor who told me that the American Heritage School was now starting a high school program.
Oh, yeah.
And Tanner, our third, was able to get into that school.
Oh, okay.
And it was a miraculous event because we did not have the finances to do that. We were in a place that was kind of, we just changed careers and we're doing something from the ground level, and we did not have extra income. But it was providential. It was amazing how he was able to get an education there.
Wow.
And each of our children were able to do that too. And that was about the time that I was inspired to start working. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So all of our children from then on, my youngest, Joseph, started in first grade at American Heritage School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's still there.
He's still there.
Okay.
Yeah. But the blessing of working is that I've been able to provide a religious and patriotic education for my children that way.
That's true.
And honestly, after 15 to 17 years of homeschooling, I realized I was burned out. I had given a ton of my life. It was actually a very short period of my life if you think of your whole life.
Well, yeah,
span,
your
right?
whole life, right.
But it seems at the time, right?
Yeah.
But some of my best memories were just, reading stories to my kids and pulling the principles from those stories and applying them in our lives and helping them to, understand and record the things that they learned from those stories.
Well, and I
and
remember
from history.
you did a lot in the community too, did you not? Like you put together those plays. Weren't you the director? I can't remember. I think it's how we met. Is our children were in the play together, and I think you were the director.
It was
of
the
that.
Wasatch Home Educators Network.
Oh,
and
that's right.
We had moved from Washington State. Rich and I, my husband and I, had moved up to Washington for about 7 years, and I homeschooled all during that period.
Okay.
And then we moved back, and then that's where I connected to the Wasatch Home Educators Network. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but there was a theater choir organization that we joined, and I volunteered to be the director of that, and I worked with other amazing mothers that were able to put on these wonderful patriotic programs and different theater opportunities. So it was fun.
Giving our kids lots of social interaction that we were longing for.
Yes, and some of their friends, they're lifelong friends through that organization. So
true.
And just to have a support network of mothers that were like-minded and willing to really sacrifice to teach their children the truth. And I was just concerned because when I first started homeschooling, I didn't have that great of a schooling experience. It's not like I was bullied or there was any problems that way.
Yeah.
I just felt like I didn't get an education. I felt like it was more about the social scene and what you were wearing and whose boyfriend was whose, or whatever.
Well, truly.
It was all about that.
And
and I wanted a true education where they could focus on true principles and the true history of America. And I realized we weren't getting true education in those areas.
Right.
And we couldn't talk about our religious beliefs, in public schools.
Yeah, true.
And so that really was compelling to me that I wanted a different experience for my kids.
Yeah. And how do they feel now? If your oldest were to come in and give a testimony, what would it be?
I think they would do it again, for sure.
Okay.
I think they realized that they were raised in a bubble.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But also they realize the social games and the problem of curriculum in the public schools. And what it's really created, I think, is independent, free-thinking individuals who live their life according to what they know to be right. Right? And not that I've had perfect children that have never made mistakes.
Yeah.
That's not true. But I feel like, they don't follow the crowd. They really do what they feel is the best thing to do.
Yeah. That's great.
And they have a great understanding and a foundation of, the gospel and of our nation and its history. And that's what is really waning today. Right?
Oh, absolutely. In both cases.
Yeah, America has been demonized, and our history has been completely changed,
watered down to practically
diluted
nothing.
to nothing. And it's also, it's where is the pride of being an American? The good pride.
It's not even there. Yeah. When my son was in public school, he came home one day and said, "I hate America. I'm not going to be in America anymore. I want to move to Mexico." And I said, "You're out of that school."
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if we are not teaching a love for our nation and the sacrifices that those people made, they're being criminalized. Are you kidding me? They put their lives on the line, and our kids don't understand. They are so blessed, and they take it for granted, and they're losing everything that those men fought for because they're believing the atheistic, socialist, feminist, false ideology that is invading our country. And that's really the reason that I started this, because I could see in my own experience that was not a healthy and a true education.
Right. Yeah. And it's not. And it's blinding people. Yeah. And they don't even realize it.
No.
Right? And I didn't even realize it when it was happening to me.
Yeah.
And yet you can see it to others now.
I went to the UN recently, and I realized that ideology, that radical feminism, has infiltrated many women's lives, right? We feel like our role as mothers isn't important, if we can't bring home a paycheck.
Right.
And so many women do work, and some have to work, right? But I think the priority of children and nurturing and teaching and raising them,
whether you work or not, is the most important.
It is the highest priority, and I have worked, right? So I understand the challenges there. But it's so important that we still make our families and our children our highest priority.
Yeah.
They're the source of our greatest joy and fulfillment.
They really are. They
and
really are.
Though they are sometimes the source of our greatest sadness
Yep.
and heartache,
Yes.
they help us fulfill the measure of our creation, you know, and that's where joy is. So,
yeah. Great. All right. Do you have one tip that you would offer homeschool mothers? What would that tip be?
take time for yourself.
Okay.
So you don't burn out.
Yeah. Okay.
Because in that taking time for yourself, you know, having some meditation time even, I remember just thinking, how am I going to get all this done? Right? Just taking care of the temporal or physical needs of a child is a challenge when you have a large family.
Yeah.
But to also be the teacher, which can be very challenging, especially if you have personality conflicts, which I'm sure every homeschool mother has experienced, and I did too.
Yeah.
I remember just receiving through quiet time, whether it was through prayer, scripture study, doing the dishes, you know, whatever time that is that you can just, and I don't know, I would qualify doing the dishes as time for yourself, but I just remember receiving in those moments, like the Lord would show me ways that I could do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I could do it this way, or I could do this or that a little differently. And He makes all things possible, right? He wouldn't have told me to do that.
Right.
If there wasn't a way that was possible to do it. And I think we're hard on ourselves. We think we have to be, you know, everything to our children. And all that the Lord expects is for us to do our very best. You know? And true. You just leave the balance to Him and trust that He will make up the difference.
Yeah. And He does.
And He does.
Yeah. But I love that, taking time for yourself. But that time for pondering is when the Spirit can take over and can show you. And we need to do more pondering. I think that's another thing we lack.
And just be more gentle on yourself. You know, you don't have to be the perfect mother.
Right. No,
there are no perfect mothers, but you are the perfect mother for your child. And they're the perfect experience and person and child for you.
Absolutely.
So even though our lives are imperfect and our education experience may be imperfect, those experiences are critical to you and that child.
Yeah.
So just trusting that path, you know.
Great. Well, that's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tresta.
Yeah.
To be notified of our newest YouTube videos, be sure to click the subscribe button here. Head over to our new website for the latest gifts and promotions. For more videos like this one, click this playlist here.